One thing that I'm looking forward to is meeting the other fellows and seeing how they do their job. There's some people that come from really interesting parts of the world. There's a girl coming from Ukraine, there's a political cartoonist from Bangladesh, so I'm really interested to see, I mean, we have it quite, well, we're lucky here the way, you know, we have a free press and we've got a lot of freedom as to how we report and things like that, to see how people in different environments do their job and, you know, what they have to do on a daily basis to get their job done and perhaps even the risks that they run. I think the most fascinating thing for me is being able to get an inside glimpse into how the media and politics works in the United States. I mean, you can go there on a holiday and you can look at things, but to be able to get that insider access that the WPI program provides, that's the most appealing element as far as I see, to be able to talk to people face to face, ask all the questions that you want, have all the people that you'd like to get the inside word from all available to you. Obviously it would operate on a much bigger scale, there'd be a lot more money involved, a lot more people, and I think that in terms of technology they are well ahead of us here in Australia, and unfortunately in Australia there's often not a lot of money in the media to be able to do things. So it would be interesting to see the difference between big organisations like CNN and how they can operate, being a well-resourced organisation, but then again some smaller media organisations in some smaller towns. It will be, I think, a real eye-opener for me because I do, you know, read the papers and I see the news reports, but I haven't studied it in depth like I was doing all those years ago. So while I probably have a fairly good theoretical knowledge as to how it all works, it would be good to be immersed in it and just to live and breathe it for that time and really get a proper understanding as to how everything works. It's a time, I think, in the media in Australia where, you know, money doesn't grow on trees anymore, particularly at Channel 10. We've had a few issues and we've had downsizing and things like that. So it would be good to be able to see how other networks use their resources and how you can get the most bang for your buck, I suppose, to put a bullet into air. So I'm hoping that I will be able to get some ideas that I can pass on to my bosses and managers as to maybe if we organise the newsroom differently or do things in a different way. And a lot of my colleagues have travelled to the US recently and they say it is quite different. Obviously the lead up to the election is something that's really interesting for me, as I've spent most of my career as a political reporter, so that's something that I've followed quite keenly, and having a background in international relations, I'm quite interested in that. But the theme for this year's trip is US-Cuba relations. So ever since I was at high school when we studied the Cuban Missile Crisis, that's always been something that's really fascinated me.